Hi guys, we are back.
Five.
Whew. Ready
In a
for?
month.
I
We're
know.
here.
We did a couple streams, I think, earlier in the month, and then it just got away from us, like always. But that's life. So,
Yeah. Yeah, this year has been, we haven't gotten back into our pattern very easily. So it's
no.
just been,
And I feel like every
we will.
every time New Year's hits, like it takes a while to get back on track with stuff, and then you're like, okay, great, we got this, and then it's like, oh wait a minute, I'm still not.
Yeah, like after my surgery, I did not send out my newsletters every week. And I just now started that last week
Oh, there
and
you
got
go.
back into the hang of that. So it's like, yeah, it just takes a while to get back into things. So, um, well, I edited for two clients last month, finished the first one pretty quickly, and then I think I was still editing one when we did our last check-in.
Yeah.
My author friend Kimmy is releasing a children's book, and so I'd agreed to edit her book just to help her out and be nice. So it's about the fruits of the spirit and like
Fun.
animals, and so the animals learn lessons about the fruits of the spirit. It's really cute.
Oh, fun.
And God did kind of hit me over the head a couple times, and I was like, "Really? You're using a kid's book to hit me over the head? That's fine." So that was funny.
That's
And
awesome.
I got that done. And then last weekend we met up, well, just the weekend that just passed us, we met up with my editor and I got Warrior and Remnant back, which is Valiant Books 7 and 8.
Sweet.
So I started Warrior today. And I've also been promoting Hunter's Kickstarter, which I'll talk about later
Oh,
on.
fun.
So that's I just have had zero time. Like I actually
No,
like
that's
last
fair.
night after my husband and I split off after our dinner, I like literally fell asleep on the couch and I was trying to like read or watch YouTube or something. Like I just
Yeah.
so busy. But and for you, how have things been for you? That was
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. Early March was no. Fashion show was the end of February, so we were coming off of that. And so I've just been
okay.
neck deep in child development because that's what 8th grade's doing at the moment.
Right.
My 7th graders um, have been hand sewing the past week or so. So that's fun. We're currently working on
Oh,
hand sewing a pillow. So that's fun. Um, fourth quarter changed, I think, in March. So I have a fresh set of 6th graders. All 25 of them. But to be honest, this group's doing pretty good so far. So I'm happy with that. No major behavior issues yet. So that's good. Um,
yeah.
but I read a lot of like non-romancy fantasy this month.
Yay.
I'm also getting off of being sick too, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
We
I feel
had
like everybody was. I
we've
know
had my goodness. Let's hopefully I don't keep doing this.
again.
There was one day I put some lotion on, and I don't know. It's like the cucumber melon lotion from Bath and Body Works, and it's like my favorite. And I
Mhm.
have never reacted before, but for some reason, when I put that lotion on at school, I got into a sneezing fit. It was like when usually
Oh
it's like
no.
when my allergies are triggered. Like it's like the inside of your nose itches, and it just keeps
Mhm.
triggering sneezes, and it's just this weird sensation.
Yeah.
But I just kept going and going,
I still haven't got along.
and I was trying to explain how to make this stitch called the invisible stitch, or it was like either back stitch or invisible stitch. And I was at the
Yeah.
document camera, and I was trying to show them how to do this, and I literally couldn't get started because I kept sneezing. It was horrible, and the kids are just
Oh
kind of
my
sitting
God.
there, and I'm just like, I'm dying up in the front. It's the stupidest crap. It was great though. So yeah,
That's funny.
hopefully that doesn't happen. But it's when we get these 80-degree weather and the plants start blooming and trees start blooming.
Mhm.
I am allergic to
Mhm.
trees and grass and literally everything. And so
Yeah, you really
dust
are.
and mold and
The
all
back
the
and
fun things.
forth. I hate to like when it can't
Me
make up its
too.
mind about what it wants to be like that too.
Me too.
Like just pick a lane and stick in it.
Pick winter or
Stick to
pick
it.
spring. Quit toggling the line.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Okay, so what have you been
Um,
reading this month?
Okay, well, because I'm doing Hunter's Kickstarter, it's 7-year anniversary. So Hunter was published 7 years ago, which I felt old. I've been having a midlife crisis this whole month because of it. So I'm doing like a special edition. It's gonna have a special artwork cover, and I did a new map, and it's got the Valiant series timeline. I designed it with the covers for the first time. Um, so I'm excited about that. It's got a bunch of other goodies that you can't get in like the retail version. So I've been reading the Kickstarter for Authors book by Anthea L. Sharp. So she formed the Kickstarter for Authors group, and that's the only reason why my past two Kickstarters have been successful. And so she did one in like 2023, but this is the
Yeah.
2025
Oh,
edition. She did the
sweet.
Kickstarter to fund this,
Oh,
and I
fun.
backed it, so I have the little things with it. So I've been making my way through this as I need it, and I actually like skipped ahead to
Yeah.
like some stuff I needed to know. Um, and it's just so informative. She goes over like every aspect of Kickstarter, even to the point of like what buttons to push when you're
Oh,
first
sweet.
creating it, and like all the things, and all the advice. I'm currently in, I think, of the part about shipping.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
was the part that I've been reading about now because I've been trying to figure that out, and I'm drop shipping this time,
Oh,
which
okay.
means Ingram Park will send it to my readers instead of me having to ship the books to me first.
Oh, hey,
Have
that may,
company, yeah,
yeah.
that may help save a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But they have printing company things in the UK and other countries, so I'm thinking about opening up international shipping, but that's a whole nother thing because you
Yeah.
have to charge, like international shipping is expensive, and so I'm just reading up on it a lot
Yeah.
before I do that part.
When you
So it's
definitely
a lot.
want to make really informed decisions, especially when you're setting on those kind of things up, because once it's open and once it's going and once you promise something, you have to, like, you can't just back out of that very easily.
Yeah,
And without at least
yeah,
upsetting at least one or two Karens out of the deal. But you know, but
yeah.
so you gotta. I'm happy and I'm glad that
That's
you're
what
definitely
scares me.
reading up on it, because it's like, I think that's a huge step and that's a really cool step. But it's like, I'm glad you're
It's
reading up
a
on it for
terrifying
sure.
step.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I saw a post in the Kickstarter for Authors Facebook group the other day where this
Mm-hmm.
lady, I think she had been pregnant or something, and she came back, and I guess she's been running her Kickstarter, or it's after it's over, but something to that effect. And the shipping prices have changed so much just in that short time that she was like, I'm probably going to be in the red because this and this happened. I'm going to see
Mm,
if I can find the post because it was like,
yeah.
I was like, yeah, I thought I was excited for international shipping, but now I'm kind of scared and I don't know what
Oh
to
yeah.
do.
Things
And
are very
I
inconsistent with
don't know.
shipping internationally at the moment. Without
Yeah, okay.
without getting political, it's pretty uncertain, just for a lot of reasons,
Yeah.
including WAR and all of that other fun things, and yeah. So
Yeah, it's just crazy. I'm scrolling through to try to find her. Yeah, okay. Okay, no, that was somebody else. So somebody else was ranting about the shipping too. Um, okay, of course I can't find it right now. Um, yeah, I can't find it now, but it was like, um, well, there's somebody else. It was like it cost $88 for one book box to ship from Canada to New Zealand. I live in a remote area, so I'm limited to Canada Post. I'm sending my books for my actual Kickstarter directly to the US for fulfillment. And she was asking like advice. Oh, here we go. My campaign's done really well, hitting its goal, but to keep momentum, I need to advertise. Okay, that's not it either. But yeah, it was like, what just happened? Her first, it was like something about like what just happened. I went away for a little while, came back, the shipping
mm,
prices have changed. Like, so it's just like really scary to do that. But I think the difference with mine is that Ingram Spark has its own printing company in the
yeah,
country, so it's going to be cheaper, and I don't have to mess with all the international
yeah,
tariffs and everything rising and stuff, shipping and all that stuff. So it's a whole thing. Um, but
yeah.
yeah, so I'm excited. I'm gaining followers on Hunter's Kickstarter right now. So if anybody is interested, you guys can find that
Mm-hmm.
easily on. I have my YouTube channel. I have videos and things about it. So the links are everywhere. Pretty easy to find. But it's Hunter by me, Joanna White. And it's got, like I said, the illustration, new map. It's got the Spotify playlist and a bunch of other goodies that won't be available in the regular retail version. I'm gaining followers right and they recently updated on Kickstarter where you can update your followers. So a lot of people, including me, are doing follower milestones where if we get to X amount of followers, we're going to reveal this special thing or this special thing. And so I revealed the map to all followers. Bless you.
Thank you.
And the next milestone is I'm going to release the new chapter headers. That's another thing. I designed them in Canva, and there's like, it's very Zagara-y. So if anybody
Ooh,
knows
fun.
Zagara, it's really good. So yeah, that's that. My little selfless plug. So that's the first book I've been reading this month, and that's also doubling as I'm going to continue reading that book over April. So
yeah. Sweet. So I can't
thing that we can go
remember.
back and forth.
I can't remember if I mentioned this in the last update or not. The first one I picked, I saw this at Target. So I was looking at the Brandon Sanderson books, and this one was sitting next to it, and it looked really intriguing. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was a cover pick at first, but then I read the back of it, and I'm like, oh, this sounds kind of cool. And so I got to reading it. As I got to reading it, it was just kind of like one of those things. I haven't just read a straight fantasy novel in like a long time, and it was just, I don't know, it was addicting. I enjoyed it. And then I went straight from that one because they had book two, and so after I read that one, I went straight into book two. But the first one, it's like fantasy Roman Empire. It's about this boy that is an orphan because the hierarchy, which is like the fantasy Roman Empire, they take over, they kind of invade the island that his parents ruled over. And so it's kind of the little tidbit of the backstory a little bit, and there's way more to it than that, but essentially he starts out as this orphan, and then you kind of dive into the story from there, and then at the end of the book, it's one of those endings that it completely like explodes the world building, like at the very end, like the last chapter, like what happens at the very end, it just kind of explodes it outward, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't know you could do that in a book. Like, it was one of those things. I don't think I've ever seen a book that did what that book did at the very end.
Nice.
It's just different. It's very different, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So that was book one. Okay.
Yeah.
Next book for you.
I think that you went into book two.
Huh? Oh, I was gonna let you go, and then I was gonna talk about book two.
Oh, right. Okay. I was just gonna keep letting you talk. So the next one I've been reading that I've really been enjoying is Water Rising by H.A. Pruitt. So she's getting ready to release her new one. I can say the title now. So the title of her new book is called Fire Blazing.
Ooh.
It's her best cover that she's ever done.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. It is so gorgeous. It is a wonderful cover. I'll probably maybe do a short about it. So I'm very excited for that one. So I was like, I need to read this one to catch up. This is book 4, I believe. So we kind of ended on not quite a cliffhanger, but a kind of a cliffhanger on the last book. And they went to this town called Spadier. I can never pronounce it, so I apologize in advance. But they were it was a weird town, weird people, weird vibes. So just all this weird stuff going on. And then this book like hits hard, and there was a lot of like actiony stuff. Like there was one scene where, because it's a YA, so there's 4 teens, and they're very teen-like. And you know me, I don't read teens very well, but she writes these in a way that still hooks me and intrigues me. And there's a lot of good like God moments, like spiritual things that hit me over the head. There was one moment where the bad guy attacks one of the guy characters, Tad, and he was sleeping in like a sleeping bag, and the bad guy takes this like plastic bag or something and puts it over his face and starts suffocating to death. And I'm like, I didn't know you could do that in this kind of book, because like she's very like lighthearted compared to other stuff. And I'm like, Dad! So I like sat up on the couch and I was like breathlessly like reading to try to keep up with what's going on.
Moments.
And then and so then it deals with a very heavy topic with a character, so I'm not going to spoil that.
Yes.
It's self-elimination.
Wow.
So that was a very heavy moment, and there was a lot of like emotional stuff, and it's been very heavy. And I was like, there were some parts where I was like, I protest, and I sent a message to her and everything. Then we get to this new race, and it's like the race building for the race. I can't remember what they're called, but they're like mer people,
Hmm.
but like half Hawaiian on the
Oh,
front. And
wow.
so they're really cool.
Huh.
She designed, yeah. So we built them. And so they have kind of a story, kind of similar to the Tower of Babel, where they
Uh-huh.
tried to do a lot and got arrogant and think that they knew
Mm,
better than God.
yeah.
And their island sunk under the sea, but it being upside down. And so
Oh.
now the trees are on the top, the water's on the bottom, and she's in this weird place. And it's so, so creative and
Oh,
so
that's
good.
cool.
Um, yeah, and so I was just like having so much fun. The lore was just so intriguing. And then we get to meet the maker. So I'm finally excited to have the maker, who is God, basically brought into that. So that was cool. So yeah, here's the design, the creature design that she had on
Oh,
the top of the
cool.
chapter.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I
that's
was
cool.
like, that is, yeah. So each of her chapters has that. So for those of you who don't know, this is a YA portal fantasy similar to Chronicles of Narnia, and I'm on book 4. So, um, and I just got to read you this one quote. Uh, when we met the Maker. So the Maker is a parallel with God, and he was a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes in and he's talking about all this heavy stuff, and he goes, "Quiet your mind and hear my call, and know that you cannot see it all. My ways are vast, a mystery. So let the deep call to deep." And I'm just like, oh,
That's cool.
yeah. So
I
that's
love
what
that.
I'm reading. I'm really enjoying it. I would have read it faster. I just am so swamped. I keep
No, that makes
falling
sense.
asleep.
Yeah, no, that makes
So
sense.
that's your turn.
Okay, so and then I read The Strength of the Few. So book 1 is The Will of the Many, and then book 2 is The Strength of the Few. And
Okay.
so like I kind of went into this one like expected, like it's so unique because the POV is from one character throughout the entire book. But it's I
Your
literally
face. I, I
I
see.
don't
I
know
could see you trying your thing.
I don't know how to explain it without spoiling things. Like it's
Yeah.
different locations, but it's the same character at the same
Yeah.
time. I don't know. That's the
Okay.
best way I can explain. But
Yeah. I'm gonna have
this
to read it.
this book, I cried so many times. There are so many characters that things happen to, and I'm just like, why? Why are we keep doing
That's
this
fine.
over and over and over again? And I was just so emotional a lot. And I'm just like, and I can't even explain it because it would spoil things, but it's just like, I'm like, there's no doubt in my mind this is a fantasy and not a romantasy because these are too angsty and too sad for it to be. I have no doubt in my mind that it is definitely an epic fantasy and I love it. But it was really good. And then I decided to get a head start on rereading all of Sarah J. Maas's books. So I started Throne of Glass, and I was going to try to finish it today, but I just didn't have a lot of time to read. But I'm almost done
Makes sense.
with Throne of Glass. And one thing I've noticed, and I was meaning to make a short about it, but one thing I've noticed, sorry, I got my goodnight text from my mother.
Okay.
One thing I've
To me,
noticed
that the
is,
angsty death thing made me have a comment, so I don't want to forget it,
oh,
but just remind me later.
yes, go ahead. Make your angsty death
Okay.
comment, okay.
There's just the angsty, like, death, just the angsty stuff that you were just talking about with the book too. On that one just made me laugh and giggle too, because it reminded me last night. Okay, I was going through the recordings for editing Warrior and like fixing Warrior, and we made a big change from the first version to the second version. We killed a particular character, and I'm listening to my editor's recordings, and she goes, "We killed this character and it fixed everything," and we're just giggling and laughing about it, and I'm like,
Oh,
and
that's
then
great.
later on we're like, little psychopathic, just like, yeah, so it was funny, but I just thought that was hilarious.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
great.
like other side of like killing characters.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
But
anyways,
one thing, I've been rereading Throne of Glass, and one thing that stuck out to me way more in hindsight and like rereading it, I don't know why I was so surprised when Kale kind of turns on um Selena in the first few books, because through a majority of book one, he keeps coming in his head when we get like the kind of like semi POV from his perspective, kind of a little bit, where we at least get his thoughts. Like, he always brings up the fact that she's an assassin and that he shouldn't trust her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's always been on the fence about trusting her. So I don't know why I was so surprised when she comes back and he all of a sudden has just like turned on her and flipped a switch. Because I don't know if it was just one of those things, like it was the cat, like her having one more secret revealed, having one more thing stacked on top of the fact that she was already an assassin, is what like the catalyst for him to completely like
Mm-hmm.
turn on her. But it's like, I don't, I guess I have to, like, when I'm rereading book two, I'll have to see if like he starts like trusting, or if he kind of continues to do that. But like every time we've been from his perspective, he talks about how like he kind of has empathy for her, but at the same time, like in his head, he makes the point of saying that she's an assassin to some extent. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I was just interesting. Like, I picked up on it and I'm like, he's never really fully trusted her. Like, I don't know why
Yeah.
it was so shocking and so upsetting for me to when she comes back and he's just like rude as all get out, because he's definitely not nice in book one. Like, he can be kind of hateful and kind of like just kind of shut off. But again, he's like in charge of the army. So that's just, so
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of his personality. So it's like, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting because I'm like, well, I guess I shouldn't have been so surprised by that. But,
That makes sense.
it was interesting. So,
Yeah.
all right. That
Yeah,
was.
I'm definitely. I also had a DNS thing that I needed to talk about too that I forgot because we just
Oh,
haven't been
yeah.
doing updates. Also, I need to read Crescent City, but I'm still on my I need a break from Sarah J. Maas because her female characters just irritate me so much. So I'm like, I haven't been able to get the whatever you call it, motivation. That's the word I was looking for. The motivation to read Crescent City for the first time. Because Throne of Glass series just really annoyed me because of
Yeah.
how she did certain characters. So I just was like, I still need a break from her. I still really am excited for ACOTAR, the next ACOTAR book. So I know I'm gonna have to read Crescent City before then. So I'm hoping that I can maybe knock that down during the summer with the dramatic audiobook and get through it because I just
Yeah. That's
Throne
fair.
of Glass really like I think reading it all last year for the most part with like other books obviously thrown in there just kind of like um disappointed me in a way and because I think I had like higher hopes for like
Hmm.
the series as a whole and like the characters and stuff and I just don't like how she did the main characters, main girl characters. Um but the other reread that I've been doing, I did a video about this, I think on my channel, where it was like everybody's talking about the Sarah J. Maas reread, but it's like, what about the Cassandra Clare read? Because her new book is coming out, and this is the final series to tie all of the books in her universe together. Because her universe, for those of you who don't know, is divided by multiple series set in the same universe, but just a couple years after each other
Hmm.
with different characters, different bad guys, different plot lines, but it's the same universe. So this final one is supposedly going to bring it all together. So I have new ones that I have to catch up on, and I wanted to catch up on and like have everything in my head because it's been years. And so I read City of Bones, which I have over there, but I didn't grab. And so I started City of Ashes, which is book two, and I was reading the TV, watching the TV series at the same time, and they just made things more mature. So I got more into the TV show, and I kind of DNF'd this, but it's more of a DNF for now, not to quote Tigger, but like Kevin, we had not finished for now. Um, just because I liked the TV show better and they were more mature. But as I get from the TV show from season two to season three really fell off when the show got canceled. And then they had like, I think they were given like 11 more episodes. And so they tried to like just do something.
Hmm.
And then the actor they chose for one of the main villains at that point was not the right. He was whiny. He was like,
Hmm.
imagine how everyone feels about Anakin from the
Hmm.
prequels combined with like Kylo Ren and how people sometimes
Hmm.
feel about him.
Yeah.
Like make them white,
Yeah.
and that's him.
Hmm.
It ruined everything. So it makes me excited for the latter books, and I'm like, I just got to get through these. But you got to remember these. It's kind of like Throne of Glass and the second book. Crown of Midnight, and then you get to like the third book, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's like really good and it picks up. It's kind of like that for these three for me. But I've
Mm-hmm.
also read them like 8 times, so it could just be me.
Yeah.
Um, so I do want to come back to this, but then I got into Water Rising, and so because this got me into teenagers, I was like, okay, it's not a big deal. Like they're just teenagers. I can suck it up. I'm the problem. It's just me because I can't read teenagers. And I
Yeah.
guess in my head, I was like, they were older than me the last time I read this series, and I think
Oh. Yeah.
is me off because I'm like
Yeah.
the mom reading this, and I'm like, why are you doing this? You're being such a stupid teenager right now. Like, just don't. But
Yeah.
somebody like you who loves like Harry Potter and can get in the head of a teenager, and you're also a teacher,
Yeah.
I feel like would enjoy this. I'm the problem. But I think Water Rising is gonna
Yeah.
help me fix that.
Cool. Yeah.
So
Maybe you can jump
yeah,
back into it. Um,
I really
because I
want
think
to.
definitely think Water Rising can get your head into the YA genre, relatively
Yes,
like pretty easily, and so like coming off of that, I think it'll be easier to pick up where you left off and keep going from there.
yeah.
So is that
So
your
yeah, and that is my wrap up from last month, and also my TBR list for next month. So
sweet?
it was all wrapped up into one. So now it's your turn for your next month.
Okay, so when I finished Strength of the Few, I decided that I wanted to get, because I found this graphic, and I think the last time we did a check in, I talked about it, but it was like, it split up, like, how long to read each of the books before you can have all of her books read by the time the new one comes out. And I want to challenge
Maybe I can
myself.
read when you are,
Yeah.
and then I can
So,
get it done.
um,
Just let me know when.
I'm wanting to try that. But the thing is, I'm already almost done with Throne of Glass, and the original plan was for it to start reading it tomorrow. So I went ahead and got a head start, so I was like a week ahead of schedule, so that way, like, if one of the latter books took me longer than what was originally marked down, then I would be
That
okay.
makes sense.
Because like each one, it's roughly 2 weeks, 2.5, like 2 weeks in a day, roughly 2 weeks around. So like you spend a couple weeks for each book. And I was looking at
Mm-hmm.
like the
I'll make
pattern.
the ACOTAR reading with you when you get to
Oh,
ACOTAR.
yeah.
Like, because
And
I don't
so,
want to throw glass like ACOTAR.
no, that makes sense. And so, I was looking on Fable, because Fable has like the calendar view where you can look and see like approximately how long it takes you to read books. And so it's like my pattern is usually let me pull up last month, because I think um Strength of the Few took me a little longer, but that was because it's definitely an epic fantasy, and my brain needs to really, and like, and Yuma read a chunk out of the first book, but it was like the Strength of the Few was like a little over 2 weeks, and like
Mm-hmm.
it's probably closer to um Kingdom of Ash, a little smaller than shorter than Kingdom of Ash. Maybe. It's bigger though, so it's probably roughly Kingdom of Ash size, because it's like 700 pages, and it took me a little over 2 weeks. So and I was gonna listen to the graphic audio for Akatar and Crescent City, and I was gonna try to do like graphic audio hybrid reading, you know. And so that was the plan. And so I'm like, I feel like I would be challenging myself, because my reading goal for the year is like 31, I think 30, 31, something like that. And so I'm like, I feel like this is a way of challenging myself, because I want to try to reread everything, and I want to try to get through all of the books so far before the new one. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was going to try to finish Throne of Glass, and then so I want to try to do the next two this month. But
Yeah.
I forgot to should have mentioned this earlier, but I've been seeing a lot of like controversy about the new Bridgerton season, and you and I had like an in-depth phone call conversation while I was waiting for my Sonic drink. I ordered a Sonic drink, and then it was like happy hour, and I got off work, and I'm like, you know what? I dropped something off at Mom's, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go sit over here and order my drink at Sonic, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I need to call Joanna and ask if she's seen this, and so we literally sat on the phone and talked about stuff. But and I got one of their pretzel twists. If you've never had a pretzel twist at Sonic, oh my god, it's amazing. You need to order their pretzel twist the next time you're there. It is fantastic. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked on food, but I saw a lot of controversy about the latest season, and I'm like, it made me kind of want to try to read the books. And so they have the cutesy versions at Target. Wait, sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
That I'm the cutesy version.
Oh, yes. It is, okay, to be fair, though, it is, like, here's Sarah J. Maas to compare on size. It is slightly smaller. It's not small, but it's smaller, so it makes me feel like I'm all, fancy. Like I'm reading, like, Lord of the Rings or something, But honestly...
That's funny.
Excuse me. But I love, like, the family tree on the inside cover. I think that looks really cool. I know, isn't that cool looking? And,
all right, I know what my next Target is going to entail.
So that was, and I'm in the first chapter, so, like, it's one of those things. It's funny because there are some books that I just enjoy reading aloud to myself, like I'm reading to a classroom or something, and this is definitely a book where I just read aloud to myself in the evenings right before I go to bed, and I'll read a little chunk of, it's so, okay, if you've never done that before, it is so much fun. I don't know if it's just me, but, like, I will literally, like, lean against my bed on my knees. It's the most uncomfortable, it looks really uncomfortable. Like, I will just stand on my knees next to my bed for a good 30 minutes. It is so weird. But I will just sit there and I'll read. And it was just the part where Lady Whistleton, I think is how you say her name. Nobody knows who she is, but she writes these, like, scandalous, like, columns. And so the mom, Daphne, and Violet were like, it was Daphne is the daughter and Violet was the mother. I keep thinking Violet is younger, but I think Violet's the mom. And
Violet's the mom.
And so Violet, the mom, was so upset because this lady had said that she made a comment that all of them looked so similar that you could tell they were, like, from, like, authentic, like, they weren't from some other guy. Like, they were all related, like, genuinely related. And the daughter was just, like, it was funny. And it was just this kind of, like, she was, like, just so upset. And she knew that the daughter was right, but she's, like, every time she knew the daughter was right but didn't want to admit it, she's like, watch your tone. And it was just hilarious. I thought it was funny. The bickering between the two of them was just quite funny. But I know you have mentioned before, and some of my students, when they said that they were watching the stuff, they made the comment that they skipped over the bad parts. And so I don't know... I'm curious to see if there is a lot of spice or just how much spice it is. Because, like if I compare it to something like, because that's where I'm like, okay, is it like Iron Flame spice? Is it like, Silver Flame? Is it like Silver Flame spice? Or is it like,
fully done?
Yeah.
Outlander.
I don't know. And that's where I'm kind of curious.
Delicately. I was talking to my husband about this, I think, and I was like, the spicy scenes in most common, like, romantic books and, like, spicy books today is, like, raunchy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when you look at, like, the old romances, the old historical romances from back in the day, it was poetic. And
these spicy books. yeah, the spicy books are,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Even though they're still kind of spicy, so it's still wrong.
Yeah.
But they're more beautifully and tactfully written and stuff than the raunchy kind of junk, basically. And it's just like, so I'd be interested. I don't know, I've heard it's worse, and I know one of my author friends, like, picked spice. She basically said that, like, she was triggered and decided not to, and that's when she quit reading spice, was because of Bridgerton.
Really?
But she's a little bit more sensitive to that kind of stuff than you and me.
Okay.
So, but yeah, and so I've been on the fence about kicking spice to the curb, but I'm doing skip reading right now. But I still want to read Bridgerton really bad, so I'm interested to see what it compares to.
Okay. Okay, this is what the AI overview said on Google, that for book 1, with the most significant spicy chapters occurring in the latter half of the book, notably chapters 15, 16, and 18.
Okay.
So it's okay. I don't want to read details, but it sounds like that it notably in those 3 chapters, and so that's where it's like But if I compare it to like spicy chapters in like Iron Flame, for example, it's like chapters 27, 37, and 48 with an additional light romance moment in 12 and 60. So it's like, it's one of those things like it's no more, or in Silver Flames, and then you're looking at like the ACOTAR books where Silver Flames, like people have marked like 18, 22, 26, 37, 41, 45, 61, and it's like Silver Flames has, I remember that book being a lot more like, oh wow, okay. We're just gonna keep going. Yeah. Like it's gonna keep happening, and so that's where I'm like, I'm wondering, like, and it's bad that I have and I know that's not the worst that's out there. Like, I know that there's a lot of, like, dark romance that are, like, literally just smut that's published. Like, PORN that's published. Like, I know that there's books like that out there, and so it's kind of, like, very, like, sheltered of me to think that Silver Flames is on this severe end of it, because I know that it's not. Trust me, I'm not that naive. I know that there's way worse than that.
A little bit more extreme for the fantasy genre,
yes.
I would say.
So
but yeah,
it's
even though there's like,
I feel like
even I used to read J.R. Ward, and she was an erotica author, and I'm just gonna admit that right here. And like her stuff is like makes everything else look very tame.
Really?
So there's definitely a lot worse out there. Yeah. But yeah, so I had a point to that, but like,
no, that makes sense. But it's like, I feel like Silver Flame is probably on the extreme end of what I'm willing to read. Like, there's some things where I'm just like, if it gets to be any more than Silver Flames, then I'm gonna be like, okay, I don't want to keep reading, because if it starts to take away from the main plot of the story and it feels like that's all the characters are doing, then I'm just like, you know what, I'm not in the mood to read this. But like, and that's where I'm like, I can see how some people would describe it as being a lot, considering it's really not that big of a book. For 3 chapters in a book that's this size, I could see how that would be a lot.
I will say, based on the TV show, I'm not going to spoil anything, but based on the TV show, at least for season 1 and that book, it has a significance to, like, a relevance to the couple, and like there's a plot that was going on. I didn't get the details because we skipped it, but like in between moments where people are talking about things, I was able to pick up on the fact that they're going through a thing, and that's kind of like the whole plot. So there's like plot relevance to it. I still skipped it, obviously, but
these two most. Okay, so somebody
more of a purpose.
Apparently somebody ranked all of the Bridgerton, the main 8 Bridgerton books on like least spicy to most spicy, and apparently the Duke and I is kind of middle of the road, I guess. Apparently this blog is saying that When He Was Wicked, which is Francesca's story, they're saying that this one is the most spicy, has the most sex scenes, but they're also the most graphic, which is the one they decided to change. Ironically enough.
That means they're going to make it, not only did they change it, but now they're going to make it spicy.
No, the book was already the most spicy, apparently.
No, but like the change that they made, they're going to make that change also spicy, because it was the spiciest book. Yeah. Now the couple is going to have very intense spicy scenes, which is like, to me, worse, but yeah, that's a whole controversy.
So I don't know. I'm curious to see, and most of the time, like, Mom and I were having this conversation too, because but she's like, and I told her, I was like, most of the time you can pick up when those scenes are coming on, like you can feel the build up to that moment. And so and most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time it's confined to a chapter. Like, they'll end the chapter after that point, or it'll be like these 2 chapters, and then after you get through that, they're good. And so normally you don't miss a whole lot of like storyline, plotline stuff when you skip over that kind of stuff, thankfully enough. But so I'm only in chapter 1. I'm in the middle of chapter 1, and that is a very, very slow read, but I am still like marking it that I started it in March. So that way, like,
Yeah.
because I don't want, like, my main focus I want is to, like, I want to get through the Sarah J. Maas books, and that's, like, my main focus. But if I can, like, read a second book off to the side and just take way longer than
Yeah.
normal, I'm
Like
totally
what
down
I'm
for
doing
something
with-
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like what I'm doing with these. So that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Okay.
And I still technically am leaving this read too. So I mean,
Ooh,
it's
yes.
yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so did
Okay.
you want to start with, like, news or
Yeah, I'll start with something just really quick.
Okay.
Since we're talking about Thrones of Glass and stuff, and then you can
Yes.
go.
Okay.
So somebody on TikTok it randomly popped up. Her name is Ray for Rachel, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
In the TikTok, she says a female character doesn't need to insult and hate men and romance and plain dress up and all the things feminine in order to be a strong female lead.
I saw
And she
that
said
video. I saw that
Oh
video.
my-
Oh my gosh. I think I reposted it either on, like, on Instagram,
Yeah.
I think, or something, and I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
And her this is her caption. She said, I feel like sometimes authors make female characters hate men and all things feminine because that's what makes them strong and different. But no, you are just as strong, if not more so, for diving into your femininity and owning it and being yourself. Also, the whole over the top hating men, insulting men in romance is really old, especially if this is supposed to be a love story. Come up with another way to portray that our female's sole focus isn't love, but also that she's not opposed to it.
yes, exactly.
Like, it's getting really old. I totally agree with her. So
I think it's just oversaturated. The genre is oversaturated with it. I'm all for a character, like, disliking men as long as they have an actual legit reason behind why they don't like them, you know, or why they don't want to be in a romantic situation. But I feel like so many romanticy writers and, like, books in the genre right now are, it's so oversaturated with let's hate men, let's rule the world. It's just, it's so oversaturated that it's just getting boring. And it's like, as soon as a book,
even when it's done legitly.
yes, and
like,
that's where,
yeah.
and I feel like, even when it's done with a species, even if it's like the hate's overdone, like, towards, like, a species in a book, I'm just like, okay, like, you can make the point that your character hates something in particular, but when you repeatedly bring it up over and over and over and over, and I'm like, oh my god, I get it. Your character hates the Fae. Let's move on. Like, let's go move past this, please. Character development, people. You know, like, I just, there's one particular book I have in mind that I felt like, and I feel like Sarah didn't do that too bad, but there's one of the latter Crescent City books. It didn't it's, again, my brain hyper focuses on one thing. The book was actually really good. I enjoyed it. And I loved where it took the series as a whole. But my brain always focuses on one thing. So I don't want you to think that the book's horrible. But that, it was just, there's one irky thing. It's kind of like that one thing with Lysandra and Aelin, with the guys, and kind of making that whole plan to have children around them. Yeah, and it's like, that's the one thing that my brain just can't get past with the Throne of Glass series. But the series as a whole is absolutely amazing. I was so emotional through the majority of it. But it's just little things like that my brain just attaches to, and I can't let go very easily. I'm like a toddler. Once my hand's gripped on that thing, I'm not letting go of it. So
I feel like that's my thing too.
You know,
a good example I would say of a strong female character that's done well is Claire from Outlander. Like, I DNF'd Outlander just because I like the TV show, but it's still she's a nurse from World War II. You want the strongest females who have ever lived so far? Get a nurse from World War II. Those ladies saw so much crap. And
definitely.
they were like, they had to be in there, they had to stay calm, they had to do what they needed to do to the doctors and surgeons in the worst scenarios. And she's really upfront, bossy, sassy, and she's put in the 16th century where all these men are telling her what to do and how to act and stuff like that. And she does that without demeaning them. So she's strong and bold, and her and Jamie fight like cats and dogs. And even like where they've actually gotten into where she attacks Jamie like physically, and he's like pushing her off, and they're so fun to watch when they're fighting. But it doesn't demean anybody, and they still show each other love, and she still like dresses up really pretty and like, you know, has that feminine side to her too. And she still needs to be safe and protected by Jamie. So
definitely.
they're in their like 60s now in the final season that
Mm-hmm.
just came out, and they had another fight, and I was like, this is classic Jamie and Claire, and he's so mad, and he's yelling at her, and she's like, you want to rephrase how you're gonna say that to me? And he's muttering in Gaelic, and he
Ah!
storms off, and I'm like,
Oh,
you
that's
guys are like
great.
60 and you're still doing this, and
Oh,
I'm
that's
just like, it's
great.
so good.
It
He
just
had to
shows the
marry him.
reality
He
of
thought
like
he was,
of a relationship is that you're not always going to get along, and no matter how old
yeah,
you
and
get,
it's
you're
just,
still going to fight and argue, and that's just I feel like so many people just give up on a relationship with the first argument, and I'm just like, if you
yeah,
really really genuinely love somebody, you know, you're going to find a way to work
yeah,
through certain. There's some things you don't work through. There's some things that are we're done worthy, and
yeah.
there's some things
But
that,
she's
you know, yeah.
Mhm. But she's just such a strong female
Oh
character
yeah,
in a good way.
definitely.
And she's like, okay, like she thought Jamie was dead for a time, so she had to marry this other
Mhm.
guy who was his friend. And they ended up having a night together,
Mhm.
and she thought Jamie was dead. So when he finds out, so like that friend has to come back into play, and Jamie's like, you're not going anywhere near him. And she's like, you want to rephrase how you say that to me? And he's like, I can picture him wrapped around you and all that stuff. And she's like, I thought you were dead. I had to marry this guy, all that stuff. And they're just, and she's like, you're
Yeah.
holding a grudge against him, all this stuff. And it's just like funny, like,
Mhm.
it's so good. And she's like, you're not going to tell me what to do, Jamie. And Jamie's like, yes, I will. You're not going to go see him. And I'm ranting and raving. Like, this stubborn
That's great.
Scotsman.
That's
Yeah,
great.
I just love it.
Okay.
Final season's going great, by the way.
um okay, I only had like three main things to talk about, I think.
Oh,
But one thing I saw, this okay, there's two, but they technically go together. So, there was a book called Shy Girl by
yep.
Mia Ball. Okay, so we're gonna talk about this too. Um okay, so apparently I don't know how much evidence they found, but it's by Mia Ballard. It was already released in the UK in November of last year, and it was set to release in the US. But apparently, there was speculation online that on and it in this particular article that I'm reading, cited on that there was speculation on Goodreads of all places and Reddit that they sounded AI ish. That it was questioned whether sections of the text bore hallmarks of AI generated prose. And so they pulled it from the shelves in the UK and they stopped its release in the US. And the New York Times publisher said that the publisher remains committed to protecting original creative expression and storytelling, which I'm glad. But the author, it says Ballard has denied personally using AI to write the novel. In comments to the New York Times, she said that an acquaintance she had hired to work on an early self-published version incorporated AI tools. She said, this controversy has changed my life in many ways, and my mental health is at an all-time low, and my name is ruined for something I didn't even personally do. She wrote in an email to the newspaper. Originally self-published in February of 2025, Shy Girl has almost 5,000 ratings on Goodreads with an average score of 3.51. However, the questions begin to raise in early 2026 as social media users dissected passages from the novel. I am quite certain that this was written by ChatGPT, one Goodreads reviewer said. A widely shared Reddit thread drew hundreds of comments, with many alleging that the prose resembled output with AI tools. A YouTube video posted in January titled, I'm pretty sure this book is AI slop, amasses more than 1.2 million views. And so and then with that, there was a post by Ayanetta Cia Lopez. I'm pretty sure I'm saying her name wrong, and I apologize. But she posed the question, and she talks a lot in her video. But like, how do we know that a book is written by AI? Like, what the gray area is, so the criteria for written by AI is so gray that it's like, how do you even, like, does there need to be like an actual like quotations left in there saying this, like, if you need any changes, let me know, the generic
I
response,
would
the
say,
chats.
yeah.
And I'm just like, or is it because we put too many hyphens in a text, and so now you suddenly think that it's written by AI when that's been around for a long time. And so I'm just like, I just genuinely felt so bad for this girl, because I'm just like, if she's telling the truth and she genuinely didn't use AI to write this, her entire, like, her literally her entire career is gone, because some people online assumed that it was written by AI and assumed that they knew everything, knew what AI was. And I'm like, and I'm just
Yeah,
like, I felt so bad for this girl. Like, genuinely,
yeah, I,
so much empathy, and I feel so bad. But,
yeah. So author and editor is my background for those of you who don't know. But so there, EM dashes are like the number one thing that if there's an EM dash, people think it's AI, and it's not. Like, the thing about AI, it was trained on the things that we do as writers.
mm-hmm,
So we are like, there was one writer that was like, you can pry my EM dashes and commas and lists out of my cold dead hands. And
yeah,
I'm like, I'm never going to stop using EM dash. Like, my editor always edits them out, but I will never stop it in my original drafts. And it's
yeah,
like, it's trained on writing. So
yeah,
of course our writing is going to resemble
mm-hmm,
AI because that's how it was trained.
yeah,
Sometimes without people's consent. My books have been pirated and stolen and used to train Meta's AI, and that's why I will never ever use that or anything. But so it's like, and so you can't guarantee that it was, unless the prompt is in there. If the prompt is in there, that is the
mm-hmm,
one time I can say, okay, yeah, without a doubt, this was AI written. But her career is ruined. We don't know for sure if she did or didn't. And I'm
mm-hmm,
also really sick and tired of the AI witch hunts because, again, it was like, you can't tell unless, and also people are like, this creates a whole sleuth of like, are we going to have to prove that the writing is
mm-hmm,
ours? And like, are we going to have to keep documented stamps of like, draft, like, you know what I'm saying, like in Word document, like a document history to prove
mm-hmm,
that we actually wrote the book? And
yeah,
like, how are we gonna vet that it's us? And then like, it's putting more pressure on us writers to prove that we're not, when we shouldn't have to do that. Like,
mm-hmm,
we shouldn't have to prove that we're
yeah,
human, because we are. Like, it's the AI people that is the problem. And
mm-hmm,
then like, and a lot of times they'll say, it's not this, it's this. Like,
mm-hmm,
that type of phrasing is specifically used a lot by ChatGPT. So if you see that in prose, a lot of people are like, that. And then lists, it loves to list things in threes.
mm-hmm,
But somebody else was bringing up the fact that that's a tactic used in a lot of marketing speak.
yeah,
So it just picked up on that, where it's
mm-hmm,
like, it's not white, it's gray, it's, what I like, I don't know exactly like what an example would be.
mm-hmm,
Also, like, the one key thing to actually be able to tell that kind of is more AI like is metaphor and similes that are used in ways that don't make sense because
mm-hmm,
it's not quite a human thing.
mm-hmm.
Like, you know,
Or
I
one
don't know, I
thing,
can't even think
one
about it.
thing I've
Like,
noticed,
something that's not related.
like, because there was a time for a while there that I was reading a lot of like AI generated stuff, just like at school and different things, and
Yeah.
there's times it AI written texts sound awkward. There's just an awkwardness to them. It's not the EM dashes, it's not the comment. Like, for me, it's none of those things. It's like if I read it aloud to someone, I'm stumbling over sections because I want to naturally say it a different way. Does that make sense, kind of?
Yeah.
And it
Hmm.
feels, it's technically grammatically correct. It's technically correct, but it just feels so, just, it feels different. It feels awkward. It doesn't feel natural, um in the sense that it just feels strange. It feels like too perfect, too good, you know, at
Yeah.
least the stuff that I've read or I've come into contact with, and so it's just, I don't know, you know.
And here's the thing too, if somebody wants to read an AI generated book, why are we gatekeeping? But on the other hand, like with a publisher, on the flip side of this, for the other
Mhm.
side of the argument, if you have a person who generated an AI book and they're being
Mhm.
published by a publisher, that's a spot being taken that could otherwise be used
Mhm.
by somebody like me who's a
Yes.
legit human who would like to get published.
Yeah.
But then on the other flip side, if you're going to just publish on your own indie publishing, then what's to stop you? And what's the big deal? Like, a lot of people pointed out the hypocrisy of, people loved this book
Mhm.
until it was AI generated, and then all of a sudden everybody hates it. It's like, you enjoyed it before you
It's
knew the
like,
truth.
can
So
we, and
why are
it's
you?
and it's just like, can we have more than one collective brain cell as a society? Like, please, can we
Yeah,
appreciate differences? Can, like, we respect having different
yeah,
opinions? Like, that's one, like, I missed, and it's like I stress to even my kids at school when we talk about um like especially with friends, like conflict resolution, or like how do you
Mm-hmm.
like not be friends with someone, because like when we talk about friendships, and my sixth graders do, we talk about like cliques, like the toxic friend groups that like how to like, and it's like you're allowed to not be friends with somebody, but it's like, and it's like how, and it's one of those things like you can respectfully disagree with people. Like that's part of what makes our society or our country so awesome, is that we can all have very different opinions of each other or things or morals or values, and at the end of the day we're all still human beings. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
that's literally what the foundation of our country was built on. And it's like the freedom to have your own thoughts. And it's like I feel like social media has trained us to just have one collective brain cell. And it's
Yeah.
not even the smart brain cell either. Like
Not the smart one
it's the
either.
dumb brain cell, and it's just like give me the smart
Here's
brain cell,
another,
please.
yeah, here's another aspect to it too. Somebody else pointed out that I read in the comments was in general, like the literacy problem that we're having as a society has meant that a lot of like authors are publishing books really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The prose and reading and literacy has gone like not
Mm-hmm.
down in a negative way, like it is kind of negative, but it's
Yeah.
not as like poetic as it used to be. It's not as
Mm-hmm.
like pretty prose as it used to be and stuff. And like people today couldn't read Shakespeare and comprehend it and stuff
Yeah.
just because we don't teach that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to make it easier for people to want AI written content
Mm-hmm.
because it puts that out
Yeah.
and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because of just the what like the book talk, like
Yeah.
instant viral, like I want something now, and then that's going to put
Mm-hmm.
pressure on writers as well to like publish quick, publish fast,
Yeah.
write fast. And then somebody else brought up the fact that like any book that's written in under 6 months is going to be scrutinized now, and I'm like, hello, I wrote 100,000 words in NaNoWriMo, like I write really fast and it's just me, like I'm just there typing, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not using AI to write my actual books. I've been
Yeah.
writing since I was 10 and I love the
Yeah.
actual writing
Yeah.
process. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like scrutinizing people who write books fast. Like there's
Yeah.
so many negative connotations that come from the witch hunt. And that's I don't like the witch hunt.
Mm-hmm. I don't
Whatever somebody
either.
stands on AI, it's like
Yeah. I feel
it's like
like
photography
I
when it
feel
came
like just
out.
as a whole, there needs to be more regulations when it comes to AI, like just all around, and that's where it's like I don't know if that's a government thing or if that's like a society thing or what, but I like a state thing or like a
Like
legal
parents,
thing or
like
whatever. It's just like
yeah,
moral, like parental thing. I don't know what the deal is, but we need
like
to
why
have some sort
can't
of regulation so that way, we
like
can.
imagine AI generated books being their own subgenre.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like just list it as a genre. If you want to read it, you can. If you don't, you can stay away from it. And like,
yeah.
those people who actually use it to write the actual book. And
Mhm.
like for talk somebody pointed out, I think it was George Lucas who said it was a tool. And like when the cars came out, everybody was upset because what about horses and carriages?
Mhm.
And it's like, well, yeah, we still have horses. We use them in different ways now,
Mhm.
and the cars have made society better because we're able to travel faster. And
Mhm.
another example of this is photography. People thought
Mhm.
photography was going to erase real artists.
Mhm.
It just added an extra ability for new
Yeah.
artists to come in, but they're still the old
Yeah.
artists
Mhm.
never change.
Yeah.
So it's like when you use it as a tool
Yeah.
in an ethical way where it's trained by consenting books and
Mhm.
content, it's not as ending of
And
humanity and
that's
doomsday as people
yeah.
think it is.
And that's where it's down to these corporations and the people running these things to set
Mm-hmm.
to be honest and set limits. Like it's not always sky's the limits with things. Like there has to be regulation. Like there has to be, you know what I'm saying? It's just really it's an
Yeah,
in-depth conversation, like definitely. And it's like one that I could probably spend hours just discussing, but it was just
I
I
don't think there's a
no
right or wrong answer. I think it's very gray
yeah.
area because even
Yeah.
I have like, okay, these are the negatives, these are the
Mhm.
other side of the argument. So it's very much like,
Yeah.
not
And
right or wrong. I think it's very
like,
middle ground.
and if she genuinely used AI to write it and didn't and isn't being honest, then shame on her. But if she's
If
telling
she's
the
smart.
truth and the only AI use that was used was an editor that she hired last year or like early couple years ago when she self-published it, then like the, just like I know when I thought that I didn't pass my final observations in college, like I thought my entire career was over. I thought I had spent all this money going to college only to not get it in the end and be like left with
Yeah.
nothing. And so it's like just even a fraction, I can't even imagine what she's feeling. Like, because that people are going, those people with that collective brain cell are going to hold that over her head for the rest of her life. So if
Never
unless that
read
she,
anything. Even indie publishing would be impossible for her
and I'm just
because they're
like, oh
gonna
my
hold that against
god,
you.
and I'm just like
Mhm.
this poor girl, and I'm like, I don't think these people realize the extent of what's happened or what they've done. They've literally ruined someone's life. And I'm just like, I
Yeah,
know, I'm just like, is that even worth it? Like, and
I
that's
know.
where we
And
have,
people don't care.
that's
That's
when
the
it
thing, they
goes into
don't
like
care.
this moral discussion of like, is this even really worth it? Like, this is a human being. This is not just, you're not just trash talking a book. You are trash talking a woman, a human being, somebody's daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, let's keep going. I will ponder on this whole thing for hours. Like I said, it just I don't know. It bothers me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah. And I don't think people, that's the problem. One last thing. That's the problem with online stuff is
Yeah.
people get behind a keyboard and they stop thinking about the humanity of interacting with people.
Yes.
It's like you're
Yes.
doing worse than
Exactly.
AI by the way that you treat people without
Hmm.
realizing it or even thinking about the consequences to somebody else.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, okay, one of mine, I'll get on a more positive kind of,
Yes.
okay, haha, note. Um, yeah. So we don't. Okay, you don't read Outlander. I haven't read Outlander. I've just watched the TV show, but there's an Outlander theory,
Hmm.
and the final season is out and coming out, trickling every week, and she hasn't written the final book yet, and so there's still a lot of theories about how they're going to end it and everything else.
Hmm.
Um, so essentially the theory, because it deals with time travel, so she's born in I think the late 1800s, and
Hmm.
she grows up and ends up in World War II, and then she goes back in time to the 1700s in 1745 in the time of Culloden in Scotland, which is a war that they fought against England.
Hmm.
So then they have all their time together, and then she has to go back into the future due to spoilery circumstances, and
Hmm.
that's when she has her baby, her and Jamie's daughter, Brianna. So she's back in like the 1960s, and then she ends up being able to go back in time to the 1760s with Jamie, and now they're kind of aging up, and it's like the Revolutionary War, the latter half,
Hmm.
like 1780, and that's where we're at now. Well, technically speaking, once they age and they die, eventually time is going to continue forward, and it's going to go to back to the late 1800s when
Hmm.
she's going to be born, and then she's going to go through the whole timeline again. So the theory is that her and Jamie get caught in an infinite time loop because of the way time travel works. And I'm just like, when you start talking about time travel, my brain starts to kind of like, okay, I can comprehend a little bit, but there's
Hmm.
so many theories about time travel and how it would work and how it would change things and like if
Hmm.
it can change things and the infinite time loop. So my brain starts to kind of fizzle out a little bit when we
Hmm.
start talking about the really deep science-y kind of time travel stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, because basically nobody wants them to age and die. Everybody wants
Oh.
to just
Yeah.
Jamie and Claire forever. Like, give us more.
Hmm.
And so everybody's like, what if they ended up in an infinite time loop and it just never ends? And I'm like, and they're like, well, the only way to break the loop is if Jamie could come forward in time with her. But I don't know I don't know if that's a rule that like Jamie's never gonna time travel. And so we're
Hmm.
all kind of like, and then in book one and in the first episode, her Claire and her original husband from the 40 from World War II are in Scotland around Halloween, and it's called Samhain in Scotland,
Hmm.
and Jamie's ghost appears, and we don't know, like at the time we didn't know who he was or anything, but it just never did anything with that. And so supposedly the author Diana Gibbon has said that she's going to answer that question
Hmm.
at the end of the final book, and nobody can
Ooh.
figure out what it means. And then in the TV show, Jamie, okay, her husband
Okay,
was named
thought.
Frank, and they had
So
a lot
is
of secret
she?
issues.
What if she ends up getting sent back?
Yeah,
Would it be like this
without him or
infinite
something.
time
I don't know.
loop and like she
I,
forgets? Like what if
I
she
have no
forgets
idea.
everything? And that's why his ghost is there.
I don't know. I'm
Because
just
he
like, oh my
hasn't moved
gosh,
on and she's completely forgot and it's some like this some endless time loop. That would be cool.
that would be epic. But and then
Even though
so
I've never read
Claire's
the series, so I have no
husband,
idea. But you know what?
yeah,
Endless time loop. Let's
throw
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 it
it out
in.
there. Um, her husband Frank is a historian,
Hmm.
and this time when they came back, so their Brianna and her husband and kids had to go back in the future for stuff, and then they were
Hmm.
running from this guy who followed them back in time. So essentially, they've reunited with Claire and Jamie,
Yeah.
and so their kids, grandkids, and grandkids are like all together.
Yeah.
With them, they brought back Frank's book that Brianna and Claire didn't know that he wrote and published, and in
Hmm.
that book, he goes over the history of Scotland people, Scottish people. My brain, sorry,
Scotland
Scotland,
people.
Scottish people in early America,
Yeah.
and found their farm that they called Fraser's Ridge, and found
Oh.
Jamie. And he realizes that the Revolutionary War is going to come to the back country. Jamie fights in it and dies in it. And Jamie reads this book and basically like is now we're in the final season, and now we've got this conflict, and some of the
Hmm.
names that he fights with these people, and these
Yeah.
are the names, and Jamie's like, I don't know who they are. And the last episode we just had, he met some of them, and he's like, oh, and so everything's coming together, and we're
Hmm.
like, don't, I can't deal with the stress. And so that's kind of like where we're
Yeah.
at, where he's going to fight in the Revolutionary War.
Hmm.
And they've never been able to stop bad historical events before. Like that's been the
Hmm.
theme of the whole show, is can we stop Culloden before the massacre
Hmm.
happens? And like they have never been able to do that. So
And
I don't know, I'm just stressing.
that's
But
where it's like any book that touches on that idea of time travel, because like as a society we've never been able to do that. Like there's been people that have
yeah,
tried, there's been like fantasy books written and movies made about it, but it's like it goes back to that fundamental idea, like the butterfly effect. Like does changing one thing affect history, or is everything already set in motion? Like can certain things be avoided or no? And it's like
yeah,
how, like I don't know, I just find that whole concept fascinating, like that whole idea of
yeah,
like if if time travel could ever become a thing, like how would that work, like what could happen,
yeah.
you know, like could the world
And
wars
also
be
like,
avoided, you know, or it's
yeah,
like could we make it worse and trigger World War III, like could the Cold War end up becoming, you know, like you know what I'm saying, like it's just the ideas are like
yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And then the other aspect of being Christians, it's like, well, God's plan
Hmm.
is set in stone, so could the
Yeah.
past be changed? But would it be his
Yeah.
plan
Yeah.
to have time travel to go back and change things? It's just
Yeah.
you can,
Like
again,
honestly,
I'm gonna get on
I've had this discussion with dad before that like if time travel were ever a thing, I would go back and actually like sneak up and try to find the disciples and like
yes,
listen.
yeah,
And then and dad's like, "You know what would happen, right?" And I'd be like, "What?" And he'd be like, "Well, he would then he would look straight at you and in perfect English, my daughter, why are you here?" And I'm just like, dang it, you're right. Like, that's what
right,
would
right,
happen. And I would just start
yeah,
bawling and I would give him a hug and be like, I just needed to see you. And yeah, it would be great. You know, like, that's what, like,
that
in
was
my head, I've
definitely
played this out so many times, you know, but it's just, I don't know. I
that.
love the idea of time travel. All
Me
right.
too. Also, I want to go on a mini science, little bit of a science thing that just
Okay.
blew my mind, and it
Okay.
connects with time travel. Okay,
Okay.
so I was watching this guy who talked about how light travels so fast that
Hmm.
in space, when you start getting about distance,
Mm-hmm.
that like imagine there was an alien race that lives on a star 64 million light years away.
Mm-hmm.
If they had a telescope that could see Earth, potentially, light, the way light travels is so fast, but it takes so long to get to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
At the current moment, they would be seeing Earth as the dinosaurs are on it 65 million
Yo.
years ago. If you're not a
Hmm.
creationist,
That's
if
cool.
you're
I
not a
love
creationist,
space.
which I am,
I
so
love
we'll get on that.
science. You
So
know, it's
I
just so
know. I was
fascinating.
like, so then I asked my husband, I'm like, explain this to me. and tell me if light is then the key to time travel. And we had this whole little tangent like 6 a.m. before we went to bed. And
I
I'm
love
like,
it.
he's
That's
like,
great.
technically, and he went into all this mumbo jumbo. And I had the worst case of disassociation I've ever had because I was staring at him, I was listening to everything that he said, but I wasn't real and he wasn't real. And I completely snapped out of my whole body. It was an out
Oh
of
my
body experience.
god, that's great.
I was like, you just reset the chemicals in my brain and I don't know
Oh,
where I
that's
am.
awesome.
Um, but it was just really funny. So I'm like, light is the key to time
Light.
travel. It was
It's like the scene from Big Bang Theory where you have like the web of uncertainty is the toad of truth, and you have like Sheldon with the marbles all over the floor, and it's like, who needs? I don't need
yeah.
sleep. I need answers.
I don't
Where in
need
the
sleep. I
swarm of
need answers.
uncertainty is the toad of truth? I miss Big
So
Bang
long
Theory. God,
story
I love
short,
that
in
show.
conclusion, at most you would be able to use light in a technologically advanced world where hypothetically you could view the past,
Mm-hmm.
but it would not be the key to time travel. So we're back
That's
to square
fair.
one.
It'd be a component. A component.
Yeah.
One of unknown components. Okay, so
Yeah.
we know that there's a current movie coming out. I've got a couple things that I forgot about. There's one thing I didn't write down, so I technically have 3 things left. So one quick announcement. So the studio that made Interstellar and Dune is going to be doing the movie adaptation of Alchemist, and I'm like so excited if that's true. And I'm like so excited because Interstellar is
They were
like
really good.
it was one of my favorite
They were
movies.
Interstellar, like
And it's like it'll be good. But okay, another thing. So,
all the book.
spacey science fictiony concept. Okay. So we know that I don't know if it's currently come out or not, but we know that Andy Weir, Weir, I don't know if I'm saying I never know if I'm saying his name right.
Yeah.
Andy Weir, like he wrote The Martian, which was already made into a movie, and then Project Hail Mary, which is currently either in theaters or
He
getting
did
ready to
write.
be in
Okay, I
theaters.
know he wrote The Martian.
Okay, yes, he
Okay.
wrote The Martian. He also has another
Okay.
book called Artemis, Artemis. I haven't read that one, but I have Project Hail Mary. It's in my living room. Some random, I should have, randomly, it's been in my living room for probably half of a year now. I don't know why it's sitting on my ottoman. It's there. It stays there. But I do want to read Project Hail Mary before I see the movie, but I don't know. Okay, I watched The Martian before I read the book, and so it didn't really bother me. So I kind of like want to read the book beforehand, but at the same time, like I'd like to see it in theaters, if that makes sense, too. So I'm kind of like
To
apprehensive.
read the book faster then.
Yeah. It might be one of those things that like I read in between, maybe.
Mhm.
Anyway, but apparently he was doing an interview, the National Academy of Engineering, in 2014, I guess. I don't know why I'm just now reading this, but apparently he's writing his next book. And it says he's currently writing his next science fiction novel, and I don't know if this is the most up to date. Okay. He's a former computer programmer. He wrote The Martian at age 39, and he wrote Artemis in 2017. And so he's wrote several different books before, but apparently he's working on his next book. And in this particular article, it was like thoughts on AI, and this was in 2024, I think. Yeah, 2024. So it's a couple years old, but it's within 5 years, so it's still relevant. It says, I'm working on my next book now. AI plays a significant role in it. Writing a story that involves AI is kind of in my wheelhouse because I know how computers work. And I know more about machine learning than most fiction writers, I think. So yes, I'm having some fun with that. I consider all technology to be a tool. AI is no different. A tool is a tool. What matters is how people use it. Try to name a technology that's done more harm than good. You can say nuclear, BOMBS. I say nuclear power. How much coal dust is not in the air? Question mark. How much pollution emissions are not in the air because nuclear power plants exist? And he goes on and on from there. But His next book involves AI in some form or fashion, and I find that really fascinating. So I'm like, oh, considering our
Can I
conversation,
say
then I'm just like,
I am
hmm.
so excited. Because
Mm-hmm.
I right now that's kind of the wheelhouse I'm writing is the like
Mm-hmm.
AI dystopian takes over like ruling things,
Yeah.
and I like because you loved The Martian. I'm excited to read
Mm-hmm.
Project Hail Mary. He's a really good author,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm excited for that because if he does something like that, then that's like it's such a mood for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is like evil AI stuff.
Yes.
So I'm
Um,
excited.
yeah. So and then this one article talks about like the time periods that the books take place in. So the Martians is 2035. Artemis takes place in 2080s, and so I'm like, ooh. I just don't know. I don't think I've ever looked into like a lot of his books. Like I recognize the covers of his books, and I'm just like, I am like slowly getting into them because I definitely loved how The Martian it was written. I was pleasantly surprised at how easy The Martian was to read because one thing that's always in the back of my mind is like there are certain technical computer technology type stuff that I'm just like I don't understand that. If you get to like three-tier words, like career specific words, there's some things that I'm just you're gonna lose me on. And The Martian was
Yeah.
written in such a way that it was easy to understand. It was easy to comprehend and read and enjoy
Hmm.
because it wasn't overly complicating the tech behind stuff. And I just really
Yeah.
appreciated that.
I know. One of my author friends said that Project Hail Mary is the best book she's ever read, and she said it took her a while to get past the science stuff in the beginning,
Yeah.
but it's so good. Like that's her quote exactly. So it made
Mm-hmm.
me excited for
Yes.
Project Hail Mary.
Yes. Yes. But apparently the Artemis Artemis. Um,
Mhm.
It says Jazz Bashara is a criminal. Well, sort of. Life on Artemis, the first and only city on the moon, is tough if you're not a rich tourist or an eccentric billionaire. So in the occasional harmless bit is smuggling in the occasional harmless bit of the contraband barely counts, right? Not when you've got debts to pay and your job is as a porter barely covers the rent. So it's kind of like a concept of like a society living on the moon, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. Because
So that was,
that's one of them that
I guess that was
one that he's already written. It came out in 2017, so I'm like curious like the
yeah.
timing of his books. Okay, so the most recent one is Project Hail Mary, and that was posted in 20. Um, that one was written published in 2021. So it looks like of the three popular ones, Artemis, the Martian. Martian is the first one in 2011. Artemis was in 2017, and then Project Hail Mary is in 2021. It looks like per Goodreads anyway. Um,
That's really cool. Sorry, I
apparently,
was reading the blurb of Artemis.
apparently there's a short story written in the Martian universe.
Huh.
Says this
I
short
didn't know
story gives us a glimpse into Mark Watney's world just before taking off in his mission for Mars. Read on for more. So it's like right before he leaves for his mission.
that. Huh.
That's interesting. It's on good. I just saw
Yeah.
it on his Goodreads list, and I'm like of his like works and stuff, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and he has a book
Um,
called The Egg.
so
Anyway, sorry, I got
um
sidetracked. That's my
it's okay.
sidetracked brain for you.
um So my next one was I saw on I don't know why it popped up on my Instagram, but Christopher Poloni on his Instagram posted a update and he said the Aragon TV show on Disney Plus is in development
I saw
and the
that.
showrunner is the one from Psych and High Potential
Hmm.
is the one doing it. So that's the co-showrunner I think of the
Okay,
show
got it.
and some writer is the one who did Highlander and among other things, I think.
Okay.
Um, so, and he said that in development is the stage right before you go into like pre-production and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So they're like writing scripts and, different things like that. So, I mean, so that's kind of interesting. Hopefully it'll be good and
Yeah.
not get like canceled and do like
Yeah.
awful like the movies did supposedly. So I thought that was kind
Yeah.
of interesting. Again, I don't know why it popped up on mine, but it did. So
I feel like if
it's
they
like, I
attempt
don't
to
know.
stay close-ish to the book, they should be fine. I think it was just like the movie tried to go through things too quickly and like just left out too much. And I think that was part of the problem is that the movie left out too much. Like the movie's great on its own, but when you are comparing it to the source material, it's like okay, this is very different. There's like a lot left
Yeah,
out. And so it's,
yeah.
and I think that any company that's trying to make a TV show from a movie, stay true to your source material. Use your
Even like
resources.
Shadowhunters with like varied. I just liked what they did, but that's a rare occurrence when they actually do like make it a little bit more adultish, but
Yeah.
and slightly better than the original. But yeah, it still has its issues. So it's just really hard to get like
Mm-hmm.
a good. See, the thing is, like Harry Potter is a genuine, and Lord of the Rings, I would say, are the two best genuine adaptations that like were close to the source material, and you can verify that because you've read and watched Harry Potter. Um, so it's like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's rare when that happens, but like Harry Potter is a good example of like a decent adaptation, and yet they're still trying to redo it again, and it's like I don't know why we need a second one when we
There
had
was like from what I
a good
like
one.
there are certain things there's definitely stuff that has been left out of the movies and like they definitely took some creative liberties. I honestly personally feel like they took creative liberties with Snape and Draco to some extent. I like what they did with Draco and Snape. I like how they added the humanity and like added like that whole concept to it. Um, but like if you're looking just based on what the book tells you, I don't really know if Snape was that great of a character. Like we all make him out to be like this war hero that died, died a martyr's death, but it's like are we sure? Like if we're just looking at the book. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where it's like I don't know. If you get me
Yeah.
started on Harry Potter, I will go off for a while. And we're
I'm
already
sorry
past the
for
hour
bringing
mark.
it up.
Like, we're already past the hour mark. So if we go on this trail, I am a dog with a bone. I will
That's
not
funny.
veer off
I was
very.
like, my whole point was that it's a
Yeah.
close adaptation, like
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings,
Hopefully.
and it's rare when that happens, and yet they're trying to
Yeah.
redo it
Yeah.
when you have other ones that are just horrible adaptations. So,
Yeah. So, well,
yeah.
um, okay, the
Did
only
you have
other
another
thing,
one?
yes, the last thing that I
Okay.
had. Okay, I saw a girl talking about this on TikTok and she posted it like 3 days ago, but this was actually
Mhm.
something that Goodreads posted about in December of 2025. So it's been around for a few months, but apparently, so books that are in early, okay, so it's like the article says improving ratings and reviews on Goodreads, updating guidelines for pre-publication books and more. And so it essentially said the pre-published book reviews and ratings. So this was the main thing that the girl was talking about, that they've updated the expectations or like the requirements for feedback given to books that are in pre-production or are in pre-release, so like they haven't been published yet. And so book confirmation, it says we're introducing a verification process that requires reviewers to confirm that they've read the book before pre-publishing titles. This covers all reading experiences, including readers who don't finish or DNF. Book sorcery transparency. Additionally, we ask advanced copy readers to indicate how they obtained their copy, such as from the publisher or author, Goodreads giveaway, or other sources. This will soon appear alongside their review, helping others understand how they accessed the book. Reader only readings, so readers who mark a book as want to read cannot rate it until they have changed their shelf status to read or currently reading. This protects rating authenticity while preserving readers' ability to express excitement for upcoming books through want to read shelving. Publishing status, the not yet published label launched early this year makes it clear when a book is forthcoming, helping readers to appreciate set appropriate expectations. So it's kind of helping. So you always have those readers that will give it a 5 star and say like, I can't wait to read this book, and they give it a 5-star, but they haven't actually read the book yet, and so it kind of pre-boosts reviews for a book. So I guess it's supposed to help kind of clear the confusion with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so like people that
Well,
are
my
saying that
extra
they
thought.
read a book, they have to mark how they
Mm-hmm.
got it, and so be
Well,
a little
my
bit more
extra thought too
forthcoming.
is it also protects authors from having those spam people who like,
Yes.
oh, if everybody hates this book, so we're just gonna rate it 1 star because
Yes,
I hate it and
exactly.
everybody else
Exactly.
hates it. So it
Uh-huh.
actually seems like a good thing to me.
And so they do have something that the girl didn't actually talk about, but it's something tagged onto this. It says off topic reviews. Here's how we help ensure that review feedback is focused on the book itself. It says review assessment. When the review is posted, we evaluate it to determine if it complies with our rating and review guidelines. Reviews that don't meet our guidelines for relevance will not be displayed in the community review sections, helping ensure that the readers see reviews focused on the book's content, writing, and storytelling. And then community driven, anyone in the Goodreads community can report a review for evaluation. Authors and publishers are welcome to report reviews as too. So like I like the idea, but at the same time,
Yeah,
I
I'm
worry
with
that
you.
there might be authors that try to silence negative reviews that are genuinely reviews by reporting them. But at the same time, I don't want, I think it's a good thing to, like, again, like you said, with the whole hate reviews that don't actually pertain to the book. There's just that part makes me worried just because it's feels like censorship in a way. Who's to say this is a like you know what I'm saying? Like who's
I
to
actually feel like as a reader, I don't like that,
Yeah, I
which is
know.
weird. You'd think I'd be kind of like, I see the hate thing and I see how it could be a positive thing. But like as a
It
reader,
feels
what
like
if
censorship.
because I put a lot of thought into my reviews. Reviews
Exactly.
help out authors
Mhm.
so much. I always review everything. What if what I'm saying doesn't meet the guidelines and then it's like
Mhm.
flagged and
Yeah.
not going to be shown? For
Mhm.
some reason, that doesn't sit with
I
me very
know.
well.
I know. I like the first part of this, but the
Yeah.
off-topic reviews, I don't know how I feel about that because who's to like if an author doesn't
What does
like
on
what I
topic
write,
mean? It's like
who's
the
to say that
definition.
they can't just, you know, flag it for review, and have it taken off of the section? And I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's where it's
Well, it's like
like,
Facebook is a good example of like when posts are like, oh, you didn't comply with our community guidelines and it's whatever
yes,
we want it to be.
exactly.
And so then you're like, I wasn't actually out of your guidelines. I've had that happen so many times on Facebook. I've been
Mhm.
banned from ads just because of that. And it's like, I feel like that could happen here where it's like, your review
Mhm.
didn't meet our guidelines. It's like I talked about the book and what I liked and what I didn't like. So
Mhm.
what's wrong? And
Yeah.
it's like, there's not a clear, like, what does
Mhm.
this mean? What is the
Yes.
clear definition of on point or whatever the term
Yeah.
was?
Mhm.
So I'm not sure I like the second half of that,
I know.
but I can still see how that the whole thing, like,
I
because then you
can
have people
yeah.
coming and be like, I hate the author. This book
I
sucks,
could
and
I
I
could
didn't
play
read it, and it's
devil's
awful.
advocate for it. Like I could argue both sides,
Yeah,
but it's like I don't know. I'm like you. It just
I'm 100% with
definitely
you.
it it made me feel a little uncomfortable because it felt like censorship and like my voice being censored, and I'm just like, I don't know if I like that. As a reader, I don't know if
It
I
gave me
like it.
the ick.
Like I feel like it
It gave
gives
me the ick.
protections to the author, but like as the reader, it kind of just it would be so easy to manipulate that system. Like it would be so incredibly easy.
Yeah.
I can hear
Whereas like
thunder.
me, I'm not going to do that because
Mhm.
I need the
Yes,
feedback. I
exactly.
mean, I can see it. There have been people who've spam 1 star reviews and don't like know.
The way I see it, like if you're
They're not
going
for it.
to
Like I would never do that.
like if I am going to have if I rate something a low review, I'm going to be pretty quick about putting my thoughts as to why. Like if I give it a 4 or
Yeah.
5-star review, there's times where I may not feel as bad. Or if I give it a 5-star review, there's times where I may not write my actual physical review for a while. But if I ever rate something a 3 or below, like a 4 below even, like, and if I take a star off for anything, I'm usually putting at least a few like initial thoughts is what I call them. So it's like I'll post something like this is not me sitting in front of the keyboard and like my full review. This is just like basic thoughts that
Initial.
come to mind. So that way they at least
That
have
makes sense.
something there. So
Right. That makes sense. So my last one is another heavy hitter, and I'll be pretty quick about this. But so we're gonna get into a really controversial topic. So let's put on our like we're gonna get into a controversy hat.
Okay.
Um, so there is a person, I don't know who the person is. Somebody stitched the
Yeah.
original person, but essentially the original person has this like kids book who I guess it's for teens or younger
Mm-hmm.
people. I don't know. It's for kids
Mm-hmm.
at below a certain age, and they designed the cover specifically to look like just a casual fun friendship type of book,
Mm-hmm.
when in reality it's actually like a very in-depth, like not in-depth but like uh LGBTQ kind of like heavy romance book, and they wanted to purposefully disguise it to keep parents from being able to stop their kids from reading it
Hmm.
or from knowing what it was. And so they're trying to hide what the real content is about, and like everybody in the comments thankfully is like, this is a big red flag, because it's like it hides spicy content in there that's like LGBTQ centered, and they made it look like on the cover and the blurb just a casual fun friendship book for younger people, to
Hmm.
hide what it really entails so that kids can read it without their parents knowing what they're reading. And somebody was like, designing a children's book so parents won't realize what it's about isn't clever. It's exactly why parents need to stay involved in what their kids are reading,
Hmm.
read the books, check the content, protect your kids,
Hmm.
was the
Yeah.
caption the person had said. And so I was like, yeah, it's
Yeah. I don't
so it
know.
just
It's
like a big red flag.
I think until children reach a certain maturity level that there needs to be a lot of um parents need to be extremely active in what their child is looking at and what their child is reading, because there's definitely been, I've seen like eighth grade is at the older end of middle school. Like I wouldn't say that they're completely mature. I There were some books that I see them reading or that I've heard that they read that I definitely wouldn't trust, you know. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like parents need to be extremely active and present. You don't have to be a helicopter parent. You don't have to be like um like dictatorship. But one thing, I do have a coworker, and what I really appreciate is that like if her daughter like if there's a really popular book that her daughter wants to read, she's reading it too. And I'm just like, her daughter's in
Mm-hmm.
high school now though, so it's like you get the idea. She's a high schooler, so she's more mature, she's older now, but it's like I like that idea. Like if her daughter's reading a book or
Mm-hmm.
her daughter really wants to read a book, they're reading it. They typically read, there's popular books that come out like Fourth Wing or whatever, like they'll read them together. You
Yeah,
know,
I
they'll
think
make
that's
the
cool.
point of both reading them and then they have to fight over the book. You know, like she'll
That's
tell me
funny.
that her daughter got to the book first, you know, and she's waiting for her daughter to finish it so she can read it. But you see what I'm saying? Like that's what I mean by
Yeah.
being present. The rain just started.
Mm-hmm.
Like that came out of nowhere.
Nice.
But yeah, so I just, please be present in what
Yeah,
your
that
kids
makes
reading.
sense.
Please be
I
aware.
saw.
Don't
Mhm.
don't be a stereotypical boomer person that has no idea what their child's involved in or what they're capable of doing, whether it's the internet, whether it's the books that they're reading, the videos they're watching, the TV shows that are watching. Just be present. You don't have to be a helicopter parent. You don't have to be like restrict them from literally everything, but use that as talking opportunities, use that as teaching opportunities. You know, like just be present. Be aware.
Yeah,
Be
I
involved.
saw this.
Please.
Mhm. I saw this cute little wholesome video of this woman who, I think the daughter wanted to read Court of Silver Flames when it
Uh-huh.
first came out. It was the new Avatar book,
Yeah.
and her daughter was young. I don't know how old, but definitely middle school or
Mm-hmm.
younger.
Yeah.
And what she does is she takes a Sharpie and will highlight and mark
Ooh.
out the spicy
Oh,
stuff
that's cool.
so her daughter can't even risk seeing something. And it was hilarious because she goes and the daughter's looking through. She's like, "What are they doing that takes so many pages?" And it was so innocent and
Oh,
wholesome.
that's
And I'm
sweet.
like,
That's
good
sweet. But
parenting.
I
That is
love
such
that
good
though.
parenting.
And that's where
She
it's
couldn't even
like
fathom what is going
that's
on.
where it's like all it would take is you having a couple different copies of the book, and when that child reached the age where you feel they are mature, and then it's like they graduate from the censored to the full version. Like that's it just I love the idea of that. Like, you know, just reading things ahead of time. Like even when we were in school, like when I was going like for teaching, like that's one thing they told us all the time. Like if you're going to read a book to your class, or if you're going to do like a read aloud in class, then you need to read that ahead of time, so that way if there's a cuss word coming up, or if there's like a really heavy topic, you know that it's there ahead of time so you can have those conversations. And that's not just a teacher thing. That is a parent thing. Like, be aware, be on top of what your kid wants to read. Build that establish that relationship ahead of time so your children feel they can trust you enough to go to you and say, "Hey, I really want to read this book that come out." And you could be like, "Oh, I am aware of what that book is because I don't live under a rock, and I know that, hey, that may have some adult things, so why don't you let me read it first, and then I will give it to you and you can read it and we can talk about it and we can read it together." And like just establishing that relationship early, so that way the kids trust you enough to go to you and be like, "Hey, I really want to read this," or "Hey, can we read this?" I just make it into like a little family book club. I don't know. Find some fun ways of doing it. It's just, and you don't even have to love reading. Like you could just read the audiobook version for all I care. Like you could listen to the audiobook.
Your house chores or something.
Yes, exactly. Put in some headphones, listen to the audiobook, and you can because Audible has like a little, like I'm pretty sure it has like a little bookmark feature where you can bookmark certain parts. So bookmark the bad parts and then find them in the book later. I mean, it's so simple, and it's so simple to be active in a child's life. It is so incredibly simple. You can have a full-time job and still be active in your child's life. I'm sorry, that's one of my TED Talks, my rants, that I will sit on my high horse and I will rant about it, because
one parent was not active in her life. I am enjoying your speech. I'm like, yes.
Because I'm just like, you can be active and present. It is not that hard, and it does not require that much energy. Like you know what I'm saying? Like if I can be present for hundreds of students every single day, you can be active for one child. Mic drop. I'm just being completely honest. I can be present. I can try to be present. I'm not going to be 100% to all of my students. I'm going to be completely honest with that. There are some students that slip through, and I don't really get to know them until they have them later in like 8th grade or 7th grade. Like, there are a lot of 6th graders that I wish I could have more time to get to know better, that I don't, because I only have them for a quarter and they move on. And it's like a class of 25 or 26, and there's just no possible way for me to get to know all of them. But it's like, if classroom teachers if especially secondary education teachers can get to know hundreds of students in a school year, then you can be present and get to know your child in the lifetime that you spend with them.
I feel like the tablet parents, I don't know what they're called, but like the parents who wanted to raise their kids on tablets and computers and screens, not being present, is more like our generation and the generation after us becoming parents. Not everybody, so it's like kind of a more of umbrella thing, but the lack of being present, kind of like, oh, just give them a tablet and let them do their own thing. And it's like, you need to be present in your parents' life. I totally get that. But also, it made me realize, like, another kind of random comment, but times have changed so much, because I remember back in our day, there were those parents out there, my dad was one of them, where Twilight was like the most taboo thing you could ever read in your life. And like my dad was
anti-Twilight. I talked my dad into it for so long. Like I literally had put all but made like presentations. I would have to hide it at
my dad's house. And like I felt so bad for my step siblings, because I would go there and they wouldn't be allowed to read it, and I'm like, my mom says I can, so there, I'm reading it. Like, and I'm such a brat, but and now Twilight is like the most G-rated, calm thing compared to some of the stuff that's out there today.
I had to convince my dad that the only reason why I was reading them was so I could reach my AR goal for the year. That was literally the only reason why he let me read them, is because I needed to reach my AR goal, and I could read all 4 of them by the end of the year, and I could reach my AR goal.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I did that year. You know what? I did.
Yeah.
So, it's great.
It's funny. It's like, now times have changed a little bit. So.
It's a very, very different world now. So, it's great.
Yeah. Also, you'll have those parents who have different opinions about different things and have issues with different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I watched The Patriot in theaters when I was like 5 when it first came out, and The Patriot is a rated R war film that at the time was considered very bloody and very violent. I
Mm-hmm.
grew up with Dances with Wolves. I
Mm-hmm.
am so desensitized to violence. It is
Yeah.
not even funny. Like violence with films
And that's where
specifically.
like even like dad
Just
now
because
like they're like at when dad's like in his 60s now, and that's where he realizes that like that like movies tend to glaze over life and death and the understanding of like death being permanent, and like
yeah.
like you'll just randomly shoot a bad guy and he'll be dead, and it'll move on with the whole plot line, and it's just like that's a person.
That's a person.
You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And it's just like it's
Yeah.
really
I
interesting,
totally see them.
and I feel like I definitely could vouch for that. Like there's certain things that I'm just very desensitized to, like cussing, for example. Like I won't realize, like it's like I could be watching something and my brain just kind of like glazes over those
I
things,
go for it.
and it's
Hmm.
like, and then I'll be watching some of them with mom and she'll be like, man, they cuss a lot in this, and I'm like,
It's like,
oh,
whoops,
I
I
didn't
didn't
even
notice.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like I just yeah,
that reminds
interesting.
me of after playing Ark with you, because you cuss when you get stressed. I've started to do that because I
I'm
bounce off of
sorry.
you and I
I'm
get back to my
sorry.
cussing. And
Yeah.
I did it like today. I was playing Ark with my sister and I kept saying the S word. I kept saying the F word. I get so mad when I'm stressed.
Oh my
And she's like,
god.
sis, you're cussing too much. And I'm like,
Oh
sorry.
no.
And I'm like, it's Hannah's
I'm a
fault. I
bad.
picked
I'm
up on it from
sorry.
her and I can't stop.
I'm sorry. I'm a bad influence.
Absorbing
This is
so
bad.
bad.
But I
I'm like, I
literally,
got back to
and
the
that's
habit of it.
like, I'm on my own, so there's nobody here to be like, hey, stop it.
Yeah,
Like, so
I totally
I just need you to be like, hey, like you're cussing a lot. Normally, if I do it when I'm around people, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, like, and I'll apologize, and then
it doesn't bother me because like the F word and the MF word too much in a movie will, but
the
like it
GD
doesn't
word
bother me because I used
bothers
to
me.
when we were in high
That's
school,
the one
and I
word
got
that I just can't get desensitized to
what
is
word?
GD. God dang.
GD. Yeah, that does
The other
bother
one,
me.
but
Um,
that's the
but
only one that genuinely will always bother me. I I just
yeah,
can't get behind. I
I
can't
agree.
ignore that
I
one.
used to cuss so bad, like I used to cuss so bad that I got out of the habit when I married Michael, and I'm here, and like you said,
Yeah.
there's nobody like I have that restriction of
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, you don't need to say that. But if somebody does, and I'm around that, I will absorb it and start
Mm-hmm.
doing it so fast, and
Yeah.
like it's hard to get back out of it now that I
Mm-hmm.
do it when I'm stressed, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
we need to chill. I say the word shoot, and like fudge is the one that I'm like fudge 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 fudge, and it'll slip out and I'll just say
Oh.
random words to try to get out of the habit of the
Mm-hmm.
bad words, and it'll be the most random thing like
Mm-hmm.
for Pete's sake, and I'll blurt that out, and Michael goes poor Pete, and he
Poor
says that
Pete.
all the time, and he's like poor Pete,
What
and I'm
did
like I'm
Pete ever do?
sorry, it's the only thing I can think of to say.
Oh, that's great. Alrighty. Well,
But yeah,
I
I
feel
can
like
take
we've had a
tangent.
really good check in. We've almost hit. I feel like it's probably our
Yes,
longest one. We've almost hit 2 hours. It's an hour and 42 minutes.
I'm gonna
So
look through and see. That's gonna be fun because we've almost done that before, but I want to see if this has been our longest.
I don't
So,
know. I'm
but in our defense,
curious.
we didn't do one since the beginning of the month, so we
Yeah.
kind of needed it.
Yeah, and we had a lot of
So,
like other stuff to talk about too. So, let us know what you're reading, what you're working on. Is there any upcoming reads that you're excited for? I know I've put a few in my calendar. I know that Carissa Broadbent has. Let's see, what books
ooh,
do I
when is
have?
that one?
I have a few books saved. Okay, Broken Dove by Danny Francis. So, the first book was that's the one that I said felt like divergent-y vibes, that some people were thinking that it was AI because they never saw the writer's like face. Remember that one?
I'm
The
gonna read
sequel,
Silver Elite. Yeah,
yeah, Silverly. The sequel that for that one called
anyway.
Broken Dove comes out in May.
Okay.
Renaissance, the same week as the Renfest, by the way.
Yes.
Let's see. Got my eye appointment. Don't need to know the date. Oh, here's another one. The Lion and the Deathless Dark by Carissa Broadbent comes out August 4th.
I
And
just saved
then
one. Krista Broadbent, yay!
Yes, I
I'm
know. I'm
septimus.
excited for
I
her.
called him from the first book. I thought he was going to be the main male romance from book one, and he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. So that I called him
Ooh,
from the beginning that he was going to be a love interest. So I'm
yes.
proud of Septimus. Okay.
And then we have Sarah in October and again in January. But I feel like there was another
And then
book that I just didn't get added into my calendar. But there's some books coming up.
November
Oh, November.
is the
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Carissa Broadbent, and I get the names mixed up so bad now.
Oh,
Uh,
Cassan-
Claire,
Cassandra
her new
Clare.
book
Yeah.
was in November.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
So
So, those are some of the upcoming books, at least that are on my radar. So, if there's any upcoming books that are on your radar that we haven't mentioned or we haven't talked about, let us know. Um,
yeah,
any kind of like not really controversial or just like discussable topics that you would be interested in our thoughts on, let us know that too.
hmm
Because we love to yap and talk and discuss things. So,
yeah.
alrighty. Well, we will see
I
you all later. Any final words?
sometime. Yeah, just let us know what you're reading and working on in the comments and stuff, and we'll try to be
Yay.
more active. Or we'll see you next month. Who
eventually,
knows?
eventually, I'll make it short. Like I had an idea to make one, and then I just
I have filmed like
didn't.
three, and they're just in my archives. So I may have to do a
Mm,
little mini intro, be like, "This is from the archives. Enjoy." Back when I was reading this thing
yes.
months ago. Some of those,
Alrighty.
but yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
Well, talk to you guys
Well,
later.
yep. Bye.
Bye. Okay, there we go.
One of those things where I've drank all my water and I've